WhyGuru, 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 WhyGuru. वाहिगुरु जी का खालसा, वाहिगुरु जी की फतेह.
Khalsa, WhyGuru Ji Ki Fateh. Thank you to everyone for coming to the Japji Sahib talk. There was a break last week because of the Nagar Kirtan, but I hope everyone was able to come to Nagar Kirtan and enjoy the day out and keep their sang. We will be having this week's talk, and it is Manpreet Singh doing the talk. But next week it's a Vaisakhi Diwan. So Vaisakhi is on the 14th, but we will be celebrating an evening Diwan downstairs from 5:30 to 8:30 p.m. So that's Sunday the 16th. So the talk won't be happening, but please, we do encourage everyone to keep their sangat going, keep using that time to come to the Guru Card. There'll be loads of Kirtan, loads of Katha. It'll be the same Kirtani as today, coming next week as well. So Guru's Kripa, please look forward to seeing everyone there. The week after will also be another evening Diwan because it's Baba Sham Singh Samagam. More information will come through a Basic Sikhi podcast. So for those that don't know who Baba Sham Singh is, it's a Mahapurush, and more information will be coming. But we will be doing an evening Diwan on the 23rd of April. So please, again, do come to that. So the next talk will be on Sunday the 30th of April, and the Japji Sahib series will continue, hopefully, throughout the year. So yeah, just before we start with the talk, has everyone signed up to the community group? We ask this every week, but last week not everyone had actually raised their hands to signing. So could you give a quick show of hands if you've joined the QR code? Cool. If you haven't, we do encourage you to join the QR code, because more information about when the talks will be taking a break, or what divans are happening, or even any questions that you may have, you can ask anonymously throughout that group. So please do scan the QR code. It's all anonymous, and it's just the community group admin who's sending messages and nothing else. Great. Before we pass it on to Bhai Manpreet Singh, I actually just wanted to share a fun fact about Manpreet Singh. Every week we'll be sharing a fact about each of the speakers so you can get to know them. But actually some of the facts, you'll probably have more questions than you did to start with. So interesting fact about Manpreet Singh, he's part Punjabi and the other part is a question mark. So I didn't actually know this until I asked him for a fun fact. So I'm going to be surprised just as you guys. So I'm going to open it up to the Sangat. So 3 attempts. Let's try and figure out what other ethnicity is Manpreet Singh, from the way he talks or the way he looks, what you may think. So any ideas from anyone? Any guesses? Yeah? Oh yeah, I thought he was Spanish as well, but no, he's not Spanish. Any other guesses? Iranian. He might be, but that's not what he's told me. No. One more guess from anyone before I reveal the secret? Yeah. Canadian. No, he's not Canadian. He is Fijian. So his dad is half Fijian and half Indian. From Fiji. I think that's how you say it. So yeah, Manpreet Singh is partly from Fiji. So thank you very much for listening, and I hope you enjoyed that fact. WhyGuru Ji Ka Khalsa, WhyGuru Ji Ki Fateh. I'm not going anywhere.
WhyGuru Ji Ka Khalsa, WhyGuru Ji Ki Fateh. Well, I'm glad that wasn't embarrassing. For anyone wondering where Fiji is a very small island just off New Zealand. And it's very fitting that my brother Morn Singh would say that today, because the Fiji colour is light blue on their flag, so I'm representing for sure. So welcome back, everyone. We had a little bit of a break, and now we're back. We're going to go over Bodhi number 11. I do appreciate it can get quite hot up here. We've opened every window that we can. We still got the fans as like a backup, so if anyone needs some of the fans on, then please do speak to our lovely Sevadars in yellow. So before we get into the talk, as usual, let's all start off with the Mool Mantra. Let's do this all together. Ik oankar Satnam Karta Purkh Nirpau Nirvair Akal Murta Ajuni Saipang Gur Prasad Jap Ad Sach Jugad Sach Happy Sach Nanak Hosi Pi Sach Ad Sach Jugad Sach Happy Sach Nanak Hosi Pi Sach. WhyGuru Ji Ka Khalsa, WhyGuru Ji Ki Fateh. Okay, so we'll start off with a little recap over our last session, where Simran Benji took us through body number 10, and we looked at the main 5 qualities that Guruji talks about, and how we can use these qualities to tackle our vices. Does anyone remember any of these qualities? Who was listening in the last session? Who's got a better memory than Simran Benji? Hanji. Yes, you. Yeah. Go on, shout. Yeah. She put her hand up, now she's just staring at me. Hanji, anyone? Yes, contentment. Yes, santokh. That's one. Any others? What are the 5 qualities? Santokh. Any other? Yes, bro, at the back. Truth. Sat. Yes, definitely. 3 left to go, guys. Any more? Hanji. Nimrata. Hanji. Yes. Humility. Any others? We got 3. Yes, bro. Santokh. Yeah, we got contentment. Any others? So we've got Sat, truth, Santokh, contentment, Daya, compassion, Prem, love, and Nimrta, humility. Okay, so Benji went through how we can use those 5 to tackle our 5 vices: this anger, greed, lust, attachment, and pride. Then we looked at the internal versus external cleansing. So Suniya Artha Sartha Ka Isanana. How just by listening to Guru Nanak Dev Ji, by listening to Gurbani, it actually cleanses us from the inside. Then we looked at the focus through listening. We looked at the Sakhi of Bhai Gondaji, how Bhai Gondaji was reciting Bani with so much faith on the feet, on the charan of Guru Harai Sahib Ji, that Maharaj wouldn't even move for so long, just in case they broke Bhai Gondaji's concentration. And then finally, the state of a devotee. Nanaka Bhagata Sada Vigas. These Bhagats of Guru Nanak Dev Ji, they're always absorbed. Suniye Dukha Pap Ganas. Their pain and their sin all gets wiped away just by following Guru Nanak Dev Ji. So in the next body, Maharaj goes on to say, Suniye Sara Guna Ke Gaha. So listening, there's an ocean of virtues to be gained just by listening. So we went through the 5 main ones. There's a couple more. We're going to get into that in a little bit. So Suniye Sara Guna Ke Gaha. There's a whole ocean of these virtues, Maharaj is saying. We can get that ocean of virtues just by listening. Guru Nanak Dev Ji goes on to say, Suniye Sikh Pir Pat Saha. That just by listening, we can get the level of a Sikh, what we call a sheikh, a Muslim mystic, a Pir, a prophet, and a Batasaha. Now, a Batasaha is a king. We can say they're royalty. Now, when someone is royal, in Punjabi, we say they have Raj. Right? You know, when we say Raj Karega Khalsa, Raj. And that word Raj, or Raja, comes from the word Raja. Raja, meaning to be full. So, you know, like on a Sunday afternoon when you've caned like 4 aloo prote and you're offered more, and you're like, nah, main raj gaya, asi rajya. We're so full. That word rajya is where the term comes from for Raj, right? Royalty. But royalty in the eyes of Guru Nanak Dev Ji is someone who has no book. They have no hunger, right? So when you're royal, you've already got everything. In theory, you shouldn't have any book, any desire. But someone who's royal in the eyes of Guru Nanak Dev Ji, what are they full on? What are they full on? Is it money and power like a normal king? Has anyone got any ideas? It's not Allu Brote, I'll give you that clue. But what are these Rajya? What is this royalty in the eyes of Guru Nanak Dev Ji? What are they full on? That means they've got no book. That means that they're Rajya. Has anyone got any ideas? Hanji, yes, bro? Yes. Brilliant. Shabad, Naam. They're full on Naam, right? So, our third Guru, Guru Amar Das Ji, they say, Sach Nama Adhar Mera, Jina Pukha Sab Gavaya. So this Sach Naam, Maharaj is saying, this Naam, this Gurbani that Guru Nanak Dev Ji's blessed us with, Adhar Mera, it's my Adhar, it's my support. And what does it do? Jina Pukha, it took all of my book, all of my hunger, Sab Gavaya, and got rid of all of them, made me lose all of my desire. And it's interesting, isn't it? Sometimes we can find ourselves desiring so many worldly things. We just want and want and want more things. And the more we get, the more we want, right? So if we find ourselves ever in that situation where we're just continuously wanting and that hunger's hurting us, maybe it's because we're lacking Sachana. Okay? So Guru Amar Das Ji's nephew, Bhai Gurdas Ji, their writings are known as the key to understanding Guru Granth Sahib Ji. And Bhai Gurdas Ji describe this Raja, this king or queen, as Guru Nanak Dev Ji sees them. So they start off by saying, Jata Sata Singhasan. They say that their throne, someone who listens to Guru Nanak Dev Ji, someone who's a Raja, a king or a queen, in Guru Nanak Dev Ji's eyes, their throne is made out of self-control, Jat, and the truth. They live by the truth. They act in truth and they talk the truth. Bhai Gurdas Ji goes on to say, Sahaja Santok Mantri, that they're ministers. You know how a king has loads of ministers in their court, loads of advisors? Well, this Gursikh that follows Guru Nanak Dev Ji, they have sahaj, they have patience, santok, they have contentment. Bhai Gurdas Ji goes on to say, Dharma, Tiraj, Duja, Abjal Raj hai. That the flag of this royal person, of this royalty, the flag is of righteousness. And they're abjal, meaning they're always there, ever present. Right? So they always fly this flag of righteousness, which means to always do the right thing. And then Bhai Gurdas Ji says, Siva Nagari Nivas. So Siv means our Atma, our soul. It can also mean the one. Nagari means Nagar, how we had a Nagar Kirtan, right? When we sing Kirtan in the town, in the Nagar. So Nagari means town, Nivas means to reside. Does anyone have any ideas what that means? When someone resides in the town of their soul, what is Bhai Gurdas Ji talking about there, do you think? What does it mean to reside in the town of our soul? Hanji? Yes. So Mataji says they're detached from the needs of the body, meaning that they've realized who they truly are, right? They've realized this Atma, this soul that they actually are, that we're so much more than just this body. Siv Sagri Nivas. Siv Nagri Nivas, sorry. Then they go on to say, Daya Dulhani Mili. Meaning that compassion is their partner, their queen or their king. They always live with compassion in anything they do. Then they go on to say, Pagatau Pandari, their Pandara, their treasure chest is full of Pag. You know how we say Vadde Pag, Hans? Like you've got great good fortune Everyone here has got great good fortune in the fact that we're merely here in the presence of Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj. So this person who follows Guru Nanak Dev Ji, who follows Guru Granth Sahib Ji, they've got Vadde Bhag as well. They've got a whole treasure trove full of good actions. And then they finish off by saying, "Bao Bojana." Sorry, I think the slides come out a bit there on the left, but they say, "Bao Bojana Sakaj hai." That this Gursikh eats, they survive on love. Their food that they live on is love. All right, so everything they do, they speak with love, they act with love. Okay, this is a Raja. This is a royalty in the eyes of Guru Nanak Dev Ji. So we've got things like self-control, righteous, they speak the truth, and they live with love. Now, speaking of royalty, there was once a king of a place called Ahmedabad. Ahmedabad is in nowadays Pakistan. And this king had a right-hand man, his mantri. And his right-hand man was someone called Malik Balgo. Right, so you've got the king and then you've got Malik Balgo. And we're going to come back to these two characters in a second. But our story actually starts with Guru Nanak Dev Ji. Guru Nanak Dev Ji and Bhai Mardana Ji, they come to this city of Ahmedabad and they stop at a mud hut. When they stop at this mud hut, Guru Nanak Dev Ji calls out, and this very simple looking man walks out of this mud hut. Very simple. This man is a carpenter. He's a very low-born person in terms of caste, very low, carpenter. He earns a living with his hands, right? His name is Bhai Lalo Ji. And when Bhai Lalo Ji sees Guru Nanak Dev Ji, they start crying. Not because they're upset, they're so happy, they've got so much love in that moment that they can't help but just cry seeing Guru Nanak Dev Ji at their house. Well, I say house, at their mud hut. They fall at the charan, the feet of Guru Nanak Dev Ji, and they say, "Maharaj, come inside my house." So in they go, and Bhai Mardana Ji is thinking to himself, "Oh no, where have we come?" He walks into this mud hut and he's looking round, and he sees no furniture, not even a bed, not even like a rug, a chadar, a sheet on the floor. It's just a bare floor in this mud hut, right? Bhai Mardana Ji is thinking to himself, we left our comfortable homes. Guru Nanak Dev Ji left their job, their family, right? For this. Is this what we've left our homes for? Like a mud hut like this? And that's what he's thinking to himself, right? And as they go in, all three of them sit down. And there's so much peace in this mud hut that the three of them just sit in silence. And they just enjoy that peace for a little while. Imagine, when we got a guest around our house, we always get into chit-chatting, right? But this place, this mud hut in the middle of nowhere is so peaceful that they just sit and they enjoy that peace for a little while. And then after some time, Bhai Lalo Ji gets up. He says, "I'll make you guys some food." So he goes into the kitchen. And it's at this time that Bhai Mardana Ji turns to Guru Nanak Dev Ji. He says, "Maharaj, did we really leave home for this? We're sat in like a mud hut. Like my clothes are getting dirty. There's not even a chadar on the floor. What's going on?" Guru Nanak Dev Ji says to Bhai Mardana Ji, he says, "This mud hut that we're sat in is literally the home of piousness." Someone who's pious is someone who has a lot of gun, a lot of qualities, right? This home is the embodiment of piousness. He says, this Bhai Lalo Ji that you think's very simple, he said he might be simple, but he's got a lot of love for WhyGuru Ji. He's got a lot of love for the One. So after some time, Bhai Lalo Ji comes out and he's holding a very simple looking dry prashada. This prashada, this roti, is so dry, there's no butter on it. And he places this in front of Bhai Mardana Ji and Guru Nanak Dev Ji, and he places a very simple sabji next to this. So you know when we cook and we got so many like spices, right, that we put into our food to make it taste nice? Bhai Mardana Ji is looking at this dish and he's like, okay, I've got a very simple looking like leafy sabji, but this prashada is so dry how am I even going to swallow it? It's like a rock, it's like stone, it's so dry, he's thinking. So Bhai Mardanaji picks it up and he takes a bite, and to his surprise, it tastes so good. He can't believe this dry prashada and this very simple looking sabji can taste so good. Now, after some time, Guru Nanak Dev Ji wanted to leave. They stayed there for 3 days and they said, right, Bhai Lalo Ji, we've got to go now. Bhai Lalo Ji bursts out into tears again. He cries, he says, Guru Nanak Dev Ji, please don't go. You've just come to my home. You stayed for 3 days. Please, give me some more days. Stay with me a few more days only, please. And so Guru Nanak Dev Ji agrees. Now, what happens in the town at this time is that the townspeople start talking amongst themselves. They say, right, this Guru Nanak Dev Ji, who's a Khatri, who's, we can say, at the top of the caste system, right? They say, he's high-born, but they're in a home. They're staying in a home of a low-born carpenter, Bhai Lalo Ji. Like, what is all that about? And what happened was, where a lot of people started going to see Guru Nanak Dev Ji, all of a sudden, Bhai Lalo Ji's house was the place to be. That mud hut in the middle of nowhere, that mud hut that everyone walked past, that Bhai Lalo Ji that no one really cared about, was the place to be just because of Guru Nanak Dev Ji. And what happened was the Brahmins in the area got very jealous, because obviously people were not coming to see them anymore. Everyone's going to Guru Nanak Dev Ji. So what happened was the minister, Malik Bagor, they hold a feast and they invite all the holy people in the area, all the Brahmins. And what happens is Guru Nanak Dev Ji doesn't turn up. So you've got all this nice food, all this nice drink, all the food you can imagine, and Guru Nanak Dev Ji is not there. So the Brahmins seize their opportunity. They go to Malik Bagor. They say, Malik Bagor, how proud must Guru Nanak Dev Ji be that they didn't even bother coming to your feast? You put this feast on for everyone, and they couldn't even be bothered to turn up. How proud must they be? How high must they think of themselves? And Malik Bagor thinks to himself, he thinks, you know what? I think you guys have got a point. So he sends a messenger to Guru Nanak Dev Ji. The messenger goes to Guru Nanak Dev Ji. They say, you've been summoned to Malik Bagor's feast. Guru Nanak Dev Ji says, we've got no business with high people, with people of a high status. You know, like nowadays, if we were to see a celebrity, like sometimes we'd just flock to them like bees, right? Like flies. Well, that's not Guru Nanak Dev Ji. A celebrity in the eyes of Guru Nanak Dev Ji is that person that no one really cares about. That person at the back. So the messenger goes back. He repeats his message to Malik Bagor. Malik Bagor gets really angry at this time. He sends 5 people. He sends 5 people and he says, if Guru Nanak Dev Ji doesn't come themselves, then bring them by force. I want them here at my feast. Now these 5 make their way to Guru Nanak Dev Ji. They say, look, you've got to come. Guru Nanak Dev Ji laughs. He says, come on then, let's go. So Guru Nanak Dev Ji comes before Malik Bagor. Malik Bagor says, who do you think you are? You are a high caste person and you're staying in the house of Bhai Lalo Ji, a low caste person. This Bhai Mardana Ji that you hang around with, even they're a low caste Muslim. What is all this about? What are you doing? I put on a feast for everyone. All the food you can imagine, all the drink, and you don't even bother to turn up. How rude are you, Guru Nanak Dev Ji, to do this to me? Guru Nanak Dev Ji says, we only eat where the One gives us food. And Malik Bagor's not having any of this. He says, no, you should have been here at my feast. And Guru Nanak Dev Ji says, fine. He says, go. He says, get me some of your fine food that you're talking about. This food you're so proud of. Go and get me one. Go and get me one prashadha. Guru Nanak Dev Ji turns to Bhai Lalo Ji. They say, you go home and you get me one of your prashadha. So they both bring one of their prashadha, and Guru Nanak Dev Ji holds these prashadha in their hand. Imagine you've got Malik Bagor's prashadha, dripping with butter, so soft, hot off the press, right? And then you've got Bhai Lalo Ji's prashadha. Must be like a stone, so dry. It's probably all cracked, right? And Maharaj is holding this in their hands. And they hold up their hands and they squeeze both prashadha. Now out of Bhai Lalo Ji's prashadha comes milk. But out of Malik Bagor's prashadha starts dripping out blood. And this was because Malik Bago earned their living by cheating, by threatening, by stealing from people. But Bhai Lalo ji, their prashadda might have had no butter on there, it might not have even been as hot, but their prashadda was earned honestly. They might have been a mere carpenter with not much to their name, not even enough to have a bed or a chadar for the floor. But that prashadda, in the eyes of Guru Nanak Dev Ji, that prashadda was worth so much more. So, Bhai Lalo ji, they didn't even have furniture. They didn't even have a chair. But their singhasan, their throne, was that of Jat and Sat. They had self-control and they spoke the truth. They lived the truth. They didn't con anyone. They didn't cheat anyone out of their money. Bhai Lalo ji wasn't someone of a high status. No one really cared about them, but their ministers, their mantris were Sahaj and Santokh. They had patience. They had contentment. Bhai Lalo ji, Bhai Lalo ji, their food might not have been as extravagant as Malik Bago's, but what they did have was a lot of love. They lived on love. They spoke with love. They acted with love. This bowl. So you can see here, Suniye Se Kabir Path Saha. Just by listening to Guru Nanak Dev Ji, we can become royalty, but not royalty in the sense of in a worldly sense, but royalty in the eyes of Guru Nanak Dev Ji. Here's Bhai Lalo ji, hardly anything to his name, and Guru Nanak Dev Ji puts him higher than Malik Bago. Now, when we listen to a Sakhi like this, sometimes we get to the end and we think, Jolo, Malik Bago was a bad person, end of story. But sometimes what we forget to realize is that our actions, our thoughts, and everything that we speak is like food being prepared. At the end of every day, certainly at the end of our life, we're going to have to prepare this food and we're going to have to serve it to Guru Nanak Dev Ji. Now, when Guru Nanak Dev Ji picks up our food, when they hold our prashad up in their hand, when they squeeze that, what's going to come out of our prashadda? On a daily basis, how many lies do we tell? Did we ever cheat someone just to get ahead a little bit? Or, like Bhai Lalo ji, did we have the contentment that, okay, maybe we didn't have a lot. Maybe we don't have a lot, but it's okay. Why? Because we earned it the right way. We lived in truth like Bhai Lalo ji. So Guru Nanak Dev Ji goes on to say, sorry for the text here, but Maharaj says, Hanji. Thank you. WhyGuru. So Maharaj says, Suniye ande pavahe raho. So they say, by listening, even the blind find the path. Just by listening. So what happened was, after this, the king, his son, the prince, got really sick. Badly sick. And the king's thinking, what do I do now? So he goes to Malik Bago for advice. Excuse me. Malik Bago says, what you should do is you should get all the saints, all the holy people in Ahmedabad, you should lock them all up until one of them blesses your son to get better. That's what you should do. So that's what the king does. He rounds up all the saints. He even rounds up Guru Nanak Dev Ji. Locks them all up, and he's waiting. He's waiting for one person to step up and bless his son so they can all be free. And at this time, Guru Nanak Dev Ji speak up. They say, O king, O Raja, have you ever seen a grape growing on an acacia tree? An acacia tree is very thorny, right? Have you ever seen a sweet, soft grape growing on a thorny tree like this? And the Raja says, no. Guru Nanak Dev Ji says, well, in the same way, how can you expect your son to get better by inflicting pain on other people? How does that make sense? And these aren't just any people. These are the saints. These are the ones following God's path. And you've locked them up. You're giving them duk. How is that going to work? The Raja realizes his actions and he begs for forgiveness. He says, "O Guru Nanak Dev Ji, what can I do? Tell me, what can I do to make my son better?" Guru Nanak Dev Ji says, "All of these saints that you've locked up, serve them food now. And their leftovers, that jutta that they leave over, feed that to your son. Not only that, but feed your son that leftover with a prashadda from Bhai Lalo ji's house." Bhai Lalo ji's having to make a lot of prashad there, right? Feed them a prashadda from Bhai Lalo ji's house. That's what's going to help your son, he says. So the king does it, and lo and behold, the son gets better after doing this. And seeing this, Malik Bhagor gets so ashamed. He goes, "Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj," he falls at their charan, he goes, "Maharaj, please forgive me. Please. I've done so much wrong." Guru Nanak Dev Ji says, "Yes, you have, Malik Bhagor. You've earned your living in a dishonest way. You lie all the time. You cheat people and you threaten them." Guru Nanak Dev Ji says, what you do is like pricking an animal and sapping the blood out of their body. That's what you do. He said, the farmers on your lands, after tax, have hardly any money for food for their own mouths, yet they're feeding your pockets. Malik Bhagor says, "What shall I do? Oh Guru Nanak Dev Ji, what shall I do? Please help me." Maharaj says, "Okay. First thing you got to do is all this money that you earned dishonestly, you got to now distribute that to everyone. Distribute it back out to everyone." Malik Bhagor says, "Okay, what else?" He says, "These saints you've locked up, I want you to ask for forgiveness from them. Ask for forgiveness that you locked them up like that." He says, "Okay, it's done." He goes, "Anything else?" He goes, "I'm going to bless you with Naam." Guru Nanak Dev Ji blessed Malik Bhagor with Naam, and he started meditating. Suniye ande pave raho. Malik Bhagor and the king were blind. They were ande. Not in the literal sense. They had their eyesight. But that didn't mean they weren't blind. Oh, they were very blind. What were they blinded by? Does anyone want to have a guess? What blinded the king and Malik Bhagor? Hanji, is that a hand up? Covered her mouth. She probably had a really good answer. Money and ego. Yes, that's a brilliant answer. Hanji bro, your hand up. Greed. Yes, they're blinded by greed, right? Ande, they're blind. But what is Maharaj saying? Suniya ande pave raho. That even the blind can find the path just by listening. And what happened when Malik Bhagor listened to Guru Nanak Dev Ji? Suniye hat hove asagaho. That by listening to Guru Nanak Dev Ji, they actually obtained, they grasped something that was immeasurable. Just by meditating and living according to Guru Nanak Dev Ji, they obtained the one. So they got saved, right? Now, sometimes we can be blind. We can be under. We can be blinded by our greed, by our ego. And we said a couple of weeks ago that Guru Nanak Dev Ji would never give up on us. They didn't give up on a king or Malik Bhagor who locked them up, who insulted them so badly. They didn't give up on them people. So they're not going to give up on us. So we can't then give up on Guru Nanak Dev Ji. It's never too late to come to Guru Nanak Dev Ji and ask for forgiveness. And ask Guru Maharaj, what shall I do now? And listen to their advice. Suniye. And Maharaj finishes off by saying, Nanaka Bhagadas Sada Vigas. That these bhagats are always absorbed. They're absorbed in that sat, that truthful living. They're absorbed in love. They're absorbed in contentment. They're absorbed in Naam. What happens when we're absorbed in that? Suniye, dukha, papka, nasa. All of their pain, All of their sin gets wiped away. Imagine Malik Bagor sitting in a palace. He's got all the comforts, but he's in so much dukh. This greed, this power is burning him. He's in dukh. He might not know it at the time, but he is. And then you've got Bhai Lalo ji, other end of the scale. No chadar, no furniture, lives in a mud hut. Suniye dukh paap ka naas. His dukh, his paap is all wiped. He doesn't care that he's sitting on the floor. It doesn't hurt him. It doesn't hurt him to sleep on the bare floor. Why? Because he listened to Guru Nanak Dev Ji. He follows Guru Nanak Dev Ji. Okay, so we've come to the end. We're going to have a quick recap. So we looked at the royal virtues, right? What makes someone royal in the eyes of Guru Nanak Dev Ji? Things like santokh, dharam, righteousness, doing the right thing. That is a true royalty in the eyes of Guru Nanak Dev Ji. Bhai Lalo ji was of a higher status, not in terms of society, not in terms of caste, but in the eyes of Guru Nanak Dev Ji, they were very high. What is the food we're going to make? Before we go to sleep tonight, just spend 30 seconds thinking, on this day alone, what is that food I'm putting before Guru Nanak Dev Ji? What was my day like today? Did I lie? Did I cheat? Did I try as hard as I could? We looked at true blindness. How you can still have your eyesight, but still be so blind. And lastly, obtaining the one. Suniye haath hove asagaho. Okay, we've come to the end. Has anyone got any questions they want to ask, or any vichar, any thoughts of their own on anything we covered today? Hanji.
Thank you. I thought about Bhai Lalo ji as like prasad and langar because it's so tasty and it's made with pure love. So if you think of devotees that make prasad and langar, it's the tastiest thing. So that kind of reminded me of Bhai Lalo ji. And when I thought about my Bagoji, sorry, is that his name? What's the name of the
Malik
other person?
Bago.
Oh, sorry. Oh my gosh.
That's right.
Malik Bago. When I thought of him, I instantly thought of I remember I was at work last week and I got into so much trouble because I kept talking. And obviously in an office, you're not really supposed to talk that much. But we had a Sikh girl come in and she was like a proper, she had very, very beautiful long hair. She had a really long Sikh name. And I was like, wow, that's so amazing because I've never come across anyone in my workforce that's a Sikh, like an evidently Sikh. I usually work with people from different backgrounds. So this was really, really nice to see. And I wasn't working honestly because I kept talking to her. But it made me think wow, I too want to keep my hair because she was really young. She was only 22 years old. But she was in a really obviously everyone has to work hard to where they go to. We all struggle. I mean, I definitely struggled. But this girl, she was just she was such an inspiration. She was so young, so innocent. And it was so lovely to see that she had this beautiful, beautiful, long, long hair. And when I saw that, I was like, I want to keep my hair. What am I doing? I instantly was like, wow, you're so amazing. So it was really interesting. When I hear, working honestly is really, really important because I obviously upset my managers because I was really behind. But at the same time, it's just, you get inspired by everyone around you as well. So that's really important too.
Benji, thank you so much for your honesty. I think it's amazing. I think that's a great example of Sangat, isn't it? When we're conscious of what company we're in. And that Sangat can come from anywhere. Our friends are our Sangat, our work colleagues, they're our Sangat. And whether we like it or not, that's going to influence us in some way. If we're surrounded by people who swear, after some time we're going to start swearing as well. But Benji, that's amazing. That's an example of a really good influence. And in terms of what you were saying about Parchar and Langar being up by Lalo ji, if we look at that, Parchar itself is so simple. It's so simple. It doesn't take much to make Parchar. And I'm a bit of a hypocrite for saying that because I've never made it in my life. I think that, if I'm not mistaken, I think there's only about 3 or 4 ingredients that goes into Parchar. I know sugar's one of them, loads of sugar, right? But Parchar, it's so simple, but it's so tasty. So tasty, right? Even the langar we have, it's simple. It tastes so good, right? That's a really good analogy. Thank you so much for sharing, Benji. Anyone else? Was that a hand up?
So my breathing, quite similar to what Benji was talking about, but the idea of being in a workplace and working and so on. What's your experiences like? Because I've spoken to you quite a bit in the past as well about your experiences at work and with some of your colleagues, and kind of the change that you went through in your life and the reaction of some of your friends or old colleagues. So can you just explain that to the Sangha, because I think it's very inspiring as well.
WhyGuru. Thank you. You know how much I hate talking about myself. I've already told everyone I'm half Fijian. That's enough for this week. Okay. Okay, so about 5 years ago, when I first really got into Sikhi, similar to Benji, my Sangat in the Gurukar influenced me so much that I wanted to keep my hair. And I can't remember what year it was now. But I remember I made a decision that, right, when I go into work on this day, I'm going to have a dastard on, that's it. And whatever happens, I don't care. I'll let Maharaj take care of it, but I'm wearing a dastard to work. And I had all these answers planned in my mind because I thought, right, this work colleague, they're quite nosy. They're definitely going to say something like, what's all this about? Why have you changed? And I had all these answers planned in my head, right? And I walked into work, dastard on my head, and no one said a word. It got to midday, 12 o'clock, and I was like, man, I've been here 3 hours. No one said anything. It got to 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and I'm like, is everyone all right? And they're like, yeah, we're fine. And I was like, what's going on? No one said anything. It actually took a couple of days for someone to actually pluck up the courage and say, oh, by the way, this turban you're wearing, it looks really cool. That was the first thing that someone said to me. They said, it looks really cool. And I said, just thank you so much. So it's an incredibly long story, but just to summarize it, stepping towards Guru Nanak Dev Ji is relative to how far away we are from Guru Nanak Dev Ji. So what I mean by that is when we're close to Maharaj, the steps to Maharaj are quite small. It doesn't take that much. If you've got that much faith, then if Maharaj says, keep your hair, or anything, jap naam, wake up in the early hours of the morning, then it's not that hard. It's only hard when we're quite far away and we've still got to make up some of that distance. So what I would say is that was an example of it was quite far away. It wasn't. It took a lot of building up just to get to that point. But there's nothing wrong with that. What the point I'm trying to make is please don't feel guilty about these steps we're taking to Maharaj. Even just one small step, even just planning it out, on this date, right, this is going to happen, this is what I'm working towards. You're still moving towards Maharaj. So please don't feel guilty about the speed at which you're going. Is that answer all right, G? Don't give him the mic again. Right. Anyone else? No personal questions. Anyone else? Any other vichar? Any other thoughts? Hanji Mataji.
Within our own family life, we do try and think about what foods we put in our own bodies, foods and drinks. But I think maybe we should all think about which companies we're supporting with our money a little more. Just for example, I see Coca-Cola given out in the Gurdwara a lot, but having lived in Mexico, I've seen what damage it does to people. Mexico's got the highest diabetes problem, but little kids...
Brilliant. Firstly, Mataji, thank you for turning your own volume up when your mic cut out. Thank you so much. Yes, I think that's a great point. So Mataji said, if anyone didn't hear that, Mataji is very conscious, her and her family are very conscious about the food that they eat. She was saying we should also be conscious of where we spend our money. What is it that we're feeding in this world with our money? And I guess it's all diet, isn't it? Everything's a diet. Everything we expose ourselves to is a diet. So the language we use is a diet. The food we eat, the actions, the social media we consume, that's a diet. Everything we do on a daily basis is a diet. So just like we'll keep in check what we're eating physically, we should also keep in check what we're exposing ourselves to. Hanji, anyone else before we wrap up? Okay, I think we are done. Is there Kirtan now, Ji, or? Okay, we've got a runaway Kirtani. There is some Kirtan that's going to happen, but I will sign off and hand over to Bhai Sahib. So I just want to finish off by saying, firstly, forgive me for all the mistakes I made. I've definitely made loads throughout that talk, so please forgive me. If anyone prefers mette brote over allu brote, I'm sorry. Okay, I prefer allu. And let's finish off with a fateh then, Ji. WhyGuru Ji ka Khalsa, WhyGuru Ji ki fateh.
WhyGuru. 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 Can you hear me? WhyGuru. Thank you so much to Manpreet Singh for the great talk. Anybody not to Kirtan hai? Any volunteers for doing Kirtan di seva? Okay, that's fine. We'll do this then. We'll do 5 more mantras together. Then we'll do Ardas. We'll do Hukanama Sahib and Sukhasan di seva. And then Guru Sahib will go to Sachkhand then. Okay, so all together we'll do 5 more mantras, please. Ik Oankar Satnam Karta Purkh Nirbhau Nirvair Akal Murat Ajuni Sahibang Gur Prasad Jap Aad Sach Jugad Sach Hai Bhi Sach Nanak Hosi Bhi Sach Ik Oankar Satnam Karta Purkh Nirbhau Nirvair Akal Murat Ajuni Sahibang Gur Prasad Jap Aad Sach Jugad Sach Hai Bhi Sach Nanak Hosi Bhi Sach Ik Oankar Satnam Karta Purkh Nirbhau Nirvair Akal Murat Ajuni Sahibang Gur Prasad Jap Aad Sach Jugad Sach Ik Oankar Satnam Karta Purkh Nirbhau Nirvair Akal Murat Ajuni Sahibang Gur Prasad Jap Aad Sach Jugad Sach Hai Bhi Sach Nanak Hosi Bhi Sach WhyGuru Ji ka Khalsa, WhyGuru Ji ki fateh. As soon as the movement job started, the Kirtani came back in the room. So it was a sign from Guru Sahib. So 5 minutes of Kirtan, then we do Sulok and Ardas. WhyGuru Ji ka Khalsa, WhyGuru Ji ki fateh.
WhyGuru, WhyGuru, WhyGuru Ji. 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 WhyGuru, 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 WhyGuru Ji. WhyGuru, 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 WhyGuru Ji. WhyGuru, WhyGuru, WhyGuru Ji. WhyGuru, WhyGuru, WhyGuru Ji. ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ 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 ਜੀ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ ਮਾਤਾ ਦਰਦ ਚੰਗਿਆਇਆ ਬੁਨਿਆਇਆ ਵਾਜੈ ਤਰ ਮਹਦੂਰ ਕਰਮੀ ਆਪੋ ਆਪਨੀ ਕੇ ਨੇਰੇ ਕੇ ਦੂਰ ਜਿਨੀ ਨਾਮ ਤੇ ਆਇਆ ਗੇ ਮਸਕਤ ਕਾਲ ਨਾਨਕ ਤੇ ਮੁਖ ਉਜਲੇ ਕੀਤੀ ਛੋਟੀ ਨਾਲ ਤੇ ਆਇਆ ਗੇ ਮਸਕਤ ਕਾਲ ਨਾਨਕ ਤੇ ਮੁਖ